Hello and welcome to a film Mixologist, the place on the internet thingy where we get a house in order. Case in point, this workshop here. So this video isn't going to be about kind of working with carburetors, but it is going to be about certain things that you need to do to keep your workshop tidy and to be able to be more productive. Because I don't know about you, but if you're anything like me, I have a certain tolerance for mess, so I can tolerate certain things being out of place for a bit. But once it goes over a certain level, that's where my productivity starts really crashing down, and that's a big problem because one of my biggest kind of limiting factors in what I'm doing here is time. So I'm very limited in the time that I can spend in my workshop on projects and whatnot. So I need to make like every second count. And what happens once things start going in a certain direction and mess starts creeping up in the workshop is that my productivity goes down. So whatever time I spend in my workshop is going to be kind of, some of it is going to be wasted, and I'm also going to be wasting money. So this video is going to be about certain things that you probably can relate to that happen to you. Why? Because when things get messy and you start losing stuff, you have to, which happened to me and I'll show you in a minute, you have to purchase things that you already have. So I'll show you in a minute kind of what that is, and so I'm going to be giving you some tips to kind of avoid that happening, and I'm going to show you, the way I do it. So point number one, apologies if this sounds like a broadcast from Captain Obvious, but cleanliness. You need to keep stuff clean. And crucially, there's one thing that I had a kind of like a discovery about what is a huge determinant of workshop efficiency, which is clear floor space. And I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so what you can see now is, and obviously you can see because it's worn, my walkway, and this is the area where I have my ultrasonic cleaner and where I have my vise. And when I do some of the disassembly of carbs, and obviously I've got all my kind of storage up there. But as you can see, I have got a very clear floor area, so I can walk kind of uninterrupted. And one of the things that I've realized is that whenever you've got an object that occupies floor space like this, let me take it out. What happens is that limits your workshop space, because imagine that this bin really occupies all the kind of linear space from there. So it's not only there, but it also kind of hinders my traveling around the workshop. So that's why it's important to have like a clear floor area. And I don't know if you're anything like me, I am very limited in terms of space. So even though now I've got, if you've been watching the channel, you know that I've kind of doubled the size of my workshop, but still it's not a big deal by any stretch of imagination. So therefore I'm very limited in the space, and if I start having boxes and stuff on the floor, that limits my workshop space even more than what it is now. So my other tip, and this is something that might save you some money, is just get yourself a Sharpie and some self-adhesive kind of address labels, and that would save you, trust me, that would save you a lot of aggro. And I do things, and the reason I do this, I'm going to show you kind of what it looks like kind of on practice. So I think I've showed before kind of what all of this is, but I don't know if you've noticed here, I have got some things that are kind of not labeled and empty. Now the reason for this is that as I get more parts, I am adding this thing. So the latest one I've added is this. This is for Weber carbs. So again, I've got the DM parts, and I've got them there. So why do I have this? So there are two reasons. Number one is to find parts quicker. Yeah, so I need kind of scintilla vertex parts, and I've got this. So I know that I've got a kind of this is a kind of a rotor for a scintilla vertex. It's all there. It's a good job. I know it's there. So, and also the other thing that this gives you is not only I can find bits, but also is stock control. And the thing with stock control is you're playing a dual game here. So number one, you trying to make sure that you're not running out of the vital parts you need. Why? Because if I'm building a car, but all of a sudden I've run out of a part that I needed, that's it. Project gone. Goodbye. The work comes to a halt. And depending on what part it is, I might have to like request it from the US. It might be like a 2-week supply chain, and it gets messy. So therefore, that's why you don't want to run out of parts. But also, and I'll show you an example here. The reason to keep things tidy is because it will save you money, and I'll show you exactly what I mean here. Okay, so in here you can see this is my kind of carbide cutters for a Dremel. And what happened to me very recently is that I had, all of a sudden, I was leaving these things in kind of weird places that I wasn't able to find them. And therefore, what happened? I went out and I purchased a new set. Now, this is kind of made of Chinesium and whatnot. Now, problem with that, it's quite obvious that I've spent money that I shouldn't have spent. And also, when I was doing the jobs, kind of before I found all the other bits, I just couldn't do jobs, so I had to do jobs differently, which isn't that great. So therefore, that's why it is important to have, you know, all your bits kind of in one place. The other reason why you want to keep things kind of tidy is about kind of understanding, keeping your options open when you're doing projects. So now I'm going to show you kind of an example of what I'm talking about. Working on this DMTR Weber for my cousin, and it's going to come up in an episode at some point. And so here, what is happening is that we've got kind of this secondary shaft that had to be kind of pretty much completely destroyed, in order for it to come out. Now, I was kind of stressing out a bit because I went on the internet and I couldn't find, straight replacements for these shafts. But what happened? I shouldn't have stressed. Why? Because if you look here, I have got a 34 shaft and throttle plate from another carb that this carb is not going to get kind of rebuilt. So I can potentially use this as a source of parts, or I've got yet another carb that has kind of a shaft that I can either adapt to this application reusing the throttle plate. Yeah, so therefore but the problem is that because my workshop was in such a mess, I hadn't seen these two things as an option for working with in this particular project. I mean, these are carbs that are going to be kind of completely parted out for spares, so that's absolutely fine. But this is what I can show you of what happens when you are doing projects and you're not keeping your workshop tidy, and you kind of lose track of what you've got or not got. in stock. Okay, so I hope you kind of got something out of it. Obviously now I'm gonna start, getting some work done now that I've got everything tidy and everything nice, everything good. But I want to say thank you very much for watching this episode, and I'll see you in the next episode.